Jamal had $8.50, his last money, his only meal for the day. The elderly couple's credit card was declined. Again. The woman started crying. They hadn't eaten since breakfast. Without thinking, Jamal walked to the counter. Put their meal on my tab. $20.50, everything he had, gone. The old man tried to protest. Son, we can't let you... It's okay, Jamal said quietly. We all need help sometimes. He had no idea who they really were. No idea the man's expensive watch meant anything. No idea that tomorrow morning they would be standing at his door. No idea that giving up his last dollar would bring him a fortune he never dreamed of. Because sometimes when you sacrifice everything for strangers, the universe has a way of rewarding that kindness. But first, let me tell you just how desperate Jamal really was. But first, you need to understand just how much that $8.50 meant to Jamal. Every morning at 5 a.m., Jamal Williams wakes up in a cramped apartment on Maple Street. The first thing he does isn't check his phone. It's a check on his grandmother, Ruby. Morning, Grandma. Time for your medicine. Ruby is 72, diabetic. The insulin costs $200 every month. Without insurance, every injection is a small fortune slipping away. Baby, you look tired, she says, watching him prepare her shot. You been sleeping? Jamal forces a smile. Plenty, Grandma. It's a lie. He's been awake since 3, calculating numbers in his head. Rent, $850, 3 months overdue. The eviction notice is still taped to their door. Utilities, $120, also overdue. Ruby's medication, $200. Groceries, whatever's left. After taxes, Jamal makes about $1,100 a month. They're always short, always behind. At 6 a.m., he's at Murphy's Auto Parts, $9 an hour, heavy lifting. Oil-stained uniforms. His supervisor, Dave, is decent enough. Jamal, you're the most reliable kid I got, Dave often says. I wish I could pay you more. But reliability doesn't pay the bills. The work is hard. Lifting engine blocks, loading trucks. His back aches constantly, but he never complains, never misses a shift. Even when Ruby was hospitalized last month, he worked. 2:30 p.m., clock out, rush to East Side Grocery, $8.50 an hour, bagging groceries, collecting shopping carts from the parking lot, dealing with impatient customers who look right through him. Clean up spill on aisle 3, his manager calls out. Yes, sir. Always yes, sir. Always polite. Always invisible. 10:30 p.m., finally done. 16 hours. 2 jobs. His feet throb in his worn sneakers. The soles have holes he's tried to patch with duct tape. This is Jamal's life. Every day, no weekends, no breaks. Ruby raised him after his parents died in a car accident 10 years ago. She worked 2 jobs herself back then, cleaning offices at night, babysitting during the day. Now it's his turn to take care of her. She never complains about the pain, never mentions how the apartment is too cold in winter, too hot in summer, never talks about the medications she skipped to save money. Baby, you got your daddy's heart, she tells him. Too big for this small world sometimes. Jamal's dream sits in a notebook under his mattress, page after page of car designs, engine modifications, fuel efficiency improvements. He used to study mechanical engineering at community college, made the dean's list. But when Ruby's diabetes got worse, the choice was simple, school or survival. He chose her. The $8.50 dinner at Rosie's Diner isn't just food. It's his one luxury every few days, a hot meal that reminds him of family dinners before everything fell apart. Before his parents died, before the world became about counting every dollar. Tonight, Tuesday, October 15th, is supposed to be one of those nights. He's calculated carefully. $8.50 for the meatloaf special. Exactly what he has after setting aside money for Ruby's medicine refill tomorrow. The walk to Rosie's takes 15 minutes. His stomach has been growling for hours. He had coffee for breakfast, a granola bar someone left in the break room for lunch. That's it. The October air is cold, first real chill of autumn. His jacket is thin, but it's all he has. He pushes through the diner's door, the warmth hitting his face like a blessing. Diane, the night waitress, waves from behind the counter. She knows him, knows his order, knows he counts his money carefully before ordering. The usual, honey? Yes, ma'am. Meatloaf special. He finds a booth near the window, pulls out his crumpled bills. 8 ones, 2 quarters, count them twice. Perfect. In a few minutes, he'll have a hot meal. Mashed potatoes, green beans, cornbread. It'll be the first real food he's had in 2 days. He doesn't know that in the corner booth, an elderly couple is about to change everything. But what he's about to do next will prove that Ruby was right. His heart really is too big for this small world, and sometimes that's exactly what the world needs. The question is, when you have nothing left to give, do you still find a way to give anyway? Jamal is about to answer that question, and the answer will change his life forever, because sitting 20 feet away, Harold and Margaret Pemberton are about to learn what true character looks like, and they're about to reward it in ways Jamal never imagined possible. But first, they need help, desperate help. And they're about to discover that help can come from the most unexpected places. That Tuesday night, something was different at Rosie's. Something that would test Jamal's character when he had nothing left to give. Jamal settles into his booth, stomach cramping with hunger. The meatloaf special smells incredible from the kitchen. $8.50, worth every penny he doesn't have. That's when he notices them. An elderly couple in the corner booth. The man wears a heavy winter coat that's seen better days. The woman clutches a worn leather purse against her chest. They're whispering urgently over a single menu. Harold looks to be in his early 70s. Gray hair, weathered hands. Margaret appears slightly younger, with kind blue eyes that remind Jamal of his grandmother's. They order carefully, 1 bowl of soup, 1 sandwich. "We'll split it," Margaret says quietly to Diane. "That'll be enough. $12 total. A modest meal for 2 people. Diane brings their food. Steam rises from the bowl of chicken soup. The sandwich looks thick with turkey and cheese. Harold reaches for his wallet with confident hands. He pulls out a credit card. Slide it to Diane. "I'm sorry, sir," Diane says after running it. "This card was declined." Harold's face reddens slightly. "Oh, let me try another." Second card, same result. "Declined again, sir." Margaret's hands start shaking. She opens her purse, searching frantically through the contents. Harold leans across the table, whispering urgently. "Check the account balance," he says. "There should be—" "Harold," Margaret interrupts. Her voice is strained. "We spent the last of it on gas to get here." Other customers begin to notice. A man at the counter turns to stare. A family with young children glances over with curious eyes. Margaret pulls out crumpled bills from her purse. 3 $1 bills, that's it. "Ma'am," Diane says gently, "the total is $12. Harold's confident demeanor crumbles. His hands shake as he searches through his wallet again. Credit cards, an old insurance card, no cash. "We're here to see our granddaughter," Margaret explains, tears forming. "She's in the hospital, critical condition. We drove 40 miles and—" Her voice breaks. "We haven't eaten since breakfast yesterday," Harold admits quietly. "We used our last cash for gas. The visiting hours end at 11 p.m. Jamal glances at the clock. 9:40 p.m., 20 minutes to get to the hospital. "Maybe we should just go," Margaret whispers. "Little Emma will understand." "No!" Harold's voice cracks. "She's been asking for us all day. The doctor said this might be our last chance to see her awake." Margaret starts crying softly. "I'm getting dizzy, Harold. I need to eat something." The weight of their situation hits everyone nearby. An elderly couple stranded 40 miles from home. No money, no food, a dying granddaughter waiting for them. Diane shifts uncomfortably. "I'm sorry, folks. I wish I could help, but we understand," Harold says with dignity. "Come on, Margaret. We'll figure something out." They start to stand. Margaret sways slightly, weak from hunger. Harold steadies her with a gentle hand. That's when Jamal's own stomach growls loudly enough for nearby tables to hear. He thinks about his own situation. The $8.50 in his pocket represents 4 hours of work after taxes. He hasn't eaten a real meal in 2 days. Ruby is waiting at home, probably worried about him. The rent is due in 5 days. They're already 3 months behind. The eviction notice feels like a weight in his pocket. But he also thinks about his grandfather. The man died proud but hungry because he was too embarrassed to ask for help. Jamal remembers Ruby's stories about those final days. "Your grandpa had too much pride," she'd said. "Sometimes pride is just fear wearing a fancy hat." Margaret stumbles slightly as they head toward the door. Harold catches her arm. "I'm sorry, honey," he whispers to her. "I thought we had enough." "It's okay," Margaret replies. "Emma will understand why we're late." But Jamal can see it in their faces. They're not just hungry. They're heartbroken, embarrassed. desperate to see their granddaughter but too weak to make the drive safely. Everyone else in the diner watches them leave, some with sympathy, others with relief that the awkward situation is over. Nobody moves to help. Jamal's heart pounds. His rational mind screams at him to stay seated. Order his food. Take care of himself first. He's already sacrificed enough. College, his future, his own health. But as Harold and Margaret reach the door, Margaret looks back one more time. Her eyes meet Jamal's across the restaurant. At that moment, he sees his own grandmother, proud, struggling, too dignified to beg. What happens next will change everything. But it starts with a choice. The hardest choice Jamal has ever had to make. Give up everything for strangers or let them walk away hungry while their granddaughter waits alone in a hospital bed. What happened next would set in motion events that would change everything. Jamal's chair scrapes against the floor as he stands up quickly. His legs feel shaky from hunger, but his heart pounds with determination. "Wait!" he calls out. Harold and Margaret freeze at the door. They turn around, confused. Jamal walks to the counter on unsteady feet. Every step feels heavy. His rational mind screams at him to stop, sit down, order his food. But he can't. "Diane," he says quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. She looks up from wiping down the counter. "Yeah, honey?" "Put their meal on my tab." Diane's eyebrows furrow. "Jamal, sweetie, that's another $12. You sure about that?" Jamal pulls out his crumpled bills. 8 ones, 2 quarters, $20.50 total, everything he has in the world. His hands tremble as he counts it out on the counter. "I'm sure. But what about your dinner?" "Cancel my order." Diane stares at him. "Jamal, when's the last time you ate?" "I'm fine." His stomach growls loudly, betraying him. "Just give them something warm. Maybe some of that chicken soup and extra cornbread." Harold and Margaret haven't moved from the doorway. They're watching this exchange with growing confusion. "Son!" Harold calls out, his voice carrying across the quiet diner. "What are you doing?" Jamal turns to face them. "Paying for your meal, sir. We couldn't possibly—" "It's already done." Harold walks back toward the counter, Margaret following slowly. "But why? You don't even know us." Jamal thinks about Ruby's words, about his grandfather's pride, about Emma waiting in a hospital bed. "Doesn't have to make sense," he says simply. "Sometimes you just gotta help." Margaret's eyes fill with tears. "Young man, we're complete strangers. Why would you give up your own meal?" The question hangs in the air. Everyone in the diner is listening now. The family with children, the man at the counter, even the cook has emerged from the kitchen. Jamal looks at Margaret's face. The same blue eyes as his grandmother, the same worry lines around her mouth. "Because we're all just trying to get by," he says. "And because someone helped my family once when we needed it most." Harold extends his hand. His grip is surprisingly firm for someone who appeared so frail moments ago. "What's your name, son?" "Jamal Williams, sir." "Harold Pemberton. This is my wife, Margaret." As they shake hands, Jamal notices Harold's watch for the first time. It's expensive. Much more expensive than someone with declined credit cards should own, but the thought passes quickly. Margaret grasps Jamal's other hand with both of hers. Her skin is soft, well cared for. "Jamal, this is the kindest thing anyone has ever done for us." "Just get to your granddaughter safely," Jamal replies. "That's all the thanks I need." Diane brings their meal to a table. The soup steams invitingly. Fresh cornbread sits beside it. She's given them larger portions than usual, touched by what she's witnessed. "Where do you live, Jamal?" Harold asks as they sit down. Jamal hesitates. He's not used to personal questions from customers. "Building 4 on Maple Street, apartment 2B. Harold nods, filing away the information. "And you work around here?" "2 jobs. Auto parts store during the day, here at the grocery store until close." Margaret studies his face carefully. "How old are you, sweetheart?" 18, ma'am. "Do you go to school?" Jamal's smile falters slightly. "Used to. Had to stop for a while. Family stuff." Harold and Margaret exchange a meaningful glance. There's something in their eyes that Jamal doesn't catch. Understanding, recognition, planning. "Family's important," Harold says quietly. "What kind of family stuff, if you don't mind me asking?" "My grandmother raised me. She's got diabetes. Medical bills, you know." Margaret's hand goes to her heart. Oh, honey, that's a lot of responsibility for someone your age. Jamal shrugs. She took care of me when I needed it. Now it's my turn. Harold takes a sip of soup, but his eyes never leave Jamal's face. What did you want to study? Before you had to stop? Mechanical engineering. Jamal's voice grows excited despite his hunger. I love cars, how they work, how to make them better. That's wonderful, Margaret says warmly. You must be very smart. Smart enough, I guess. Harold finishes his soup quickly. Margaret eats more slowly, savoring every bite. They're both watching Jamal, who stands beside their table looking exhausted. Sit with us, Margaret insists. Please. I should probably head home. My grandmother worries. Just for a minute, Harold says. There's something in his tone that suggests this isn't just politeness. Jamal sits down reluctantly. His stomach cramps painfully. Tell us about your grandmother, Margaret says. For the next 10 minutes, Jamal talks about Ruby, her wisdom, her strength, how she worked 2 jobs to raise him after his parents died, how she never complains about her illness. Harold and Margaret listen intently. They ask thoughtful questions. They seem genuinely interested in his life. Finally, Harold checks his watch. We should get to the hospital. They stand to leave. Harold pulls out his wallet again, but this time he writes something on a napkin and hands it to Diane. Make sure that young man gets a proper meal tomorrow night. Send the bill to this address. Diane looks at the napkin. Her eyes widen in surprise, but Harold puts a finger to his lips. Don't tell him yet, Harold whispers. Just make sure he eats. Margaret hugs Jamal tightly. Thank you, sweetheart. We won't forget this. Ever. Give Emma my best, Jamal says. I hope she gets better soon. Harold shakes his hand one more time. His grip lingers and he looks directly into Jamal's eyes. Jamal Williams, he says slowly. You're going to do great things in this life. Thank you, sir. No, Harold says firmly. Thank you. They walk toward the door, Harold's arm around Margaret's waist. Both of them are walking straighter now, strengthened by food and kindness. At the door, Harold turns back one more time. Jamal? Yes, sir? Sometimes the people who need help the most are the ones you least expect. Jamal nods, not sure what he means. After they leave, Diane approaches his table. That was beautiful, honey. But you sure you don't want me to make you something? On the house? Jamal shakes his head. I'm okay, really. But as he walks home on the cold October night, his stomach empty and his pockets lighter. He feels strangely peaceful. He has no idea that Harold Pemberton is already making phone calls from his car. He has no idea that by tomorrow morning his entire life will be different. All he knows is that he helped 2 people get to their granddaughter, and sometimes that's enough. Harold and Margaret weren't just any grateful couple, and they were about to prove it. The walk home feels endless. Jamal's stomach cramps with every step. $20.50. Gone. The October wind cuts through his thin jacket, but despite the hunger and cold, he feels strangely peaceful. He thinks about Margaret's tears, Harold's firm handshake, the way they stood taller after eating. The math runs through his head. Rent due in 5 days. Now he's $20.50 shorter. Ruby's insulin runs out tomorrow, $67 he needs to find. But every time panic rises, he remembers Emma waiting in that hospital bed. The apartment building comes into view. 4 stories of weathered brick. Half the windows have tape over cracks. Jamal climbs to the 2nd floor. The hallway smells like boiled cabbage and old carpet. Baby? That you? Ruby's voice calls from inside. Yes, Grandma. She takes one look at his face and knows. You didn't eat again, did you? Ruby wheels closer in her wheelchair, studying him with 72 years of wisdom. Jamal Williams, you got that same look your daddy used to get when he'd given away his lunch money. He tells her everything. The declined cards, Margaret's tears, Emma in the hospital. Ruby listens without interrupting. When he finishes, she nods slowly. Your mama always said you had your daddy's heart. Too big for your own good sometimes, but too beautiful for your own harm. They reminded me of you and Grandpa, Jamal admits. Ruby touches his face gently. Baby, kindness ain't never wasted. It always finds its way back, sometimes in ways you can't even imagine. She wheels to the kitchen, opens the nearly empty refrigerator, peanut butter, some crackers, Milk that expires tomorrow. I saved you half my sandwich from lunch. She pulls out a paper plate with half a bologna sandwich wrapped in plastic. Grandma, you need to eat too. I ate plenty today. Now sit down before I get my belt. Jamal sits at their wobbly kitchen table. The sandwich tastes like heaven. Baby, Ruby says, I've been poor most of my life, but I learned something. When you give from an empty hand, that's when God pays attention. What if they shut off the power? What if Mr. Henderson kicks us out? Then we'll figure it out. We always do. But you did right tonight, baby. You did exactly right. Later, Jamal lies on the pull-out couch. Ruby sleeps peacefully in the bedroom. His stomach still aches, but his heart feels full. He thinks about Harold and Margaret. I hope Emma is okay. I hope they made it in time. He has no idea that across town, Harold is pacing his hotel room, making urgent phone calls. He has no idea that Margaret is researching everything about Maple Street, about young men named Jamal Williams. He has no idea that his simple act of kindness has set wheels in motion. All he knows is that tomorrow he'll find a way to make up the 2050. He always does. But tomorrow morning will bring visitors he never expected. While Jamal slept, Harold was making calls that would change everything. At the Marriott downtown, Harold paces his hotel suite. Margaret sits on the bed, still emotional. Patricia, I need you to research someone immediately. Jamal Williams, East Side grocery store worker. His assistant's voice crackles through the phone. Sir, it's midnight. Can this wait? No, I want everything. Family, finances, background, character references. Margaret watches her husband. In 45 years of marriage, she knows this look. Harold has made a decision. What are you thinking? She asks. That young man gave up his last dollar, Margaret. His last dollar. I saw his hands shaking when he counted the money. His clothes, his shoes, the way he looked when he said he hadn't eaten. Margaret nods. He was starving, Harold, and he still helped us. Harold's phone buzzes. Patricia calls back within minutes. Sir, preliminary information ready. Jamal Williams, 18, lives with diabetic grandmother Ruby. My parents died in a car accident 10 years ago. Harold puts the phone on speaker. 2 jobs currently. Murphy's Auto Parts and East Side Grocery. No criminal record. Excellent references from both supervisors. What kind of references? Quote, most honest employee I've ever had. Never missed a day, even when his grandmother was hospitalized. Margaret's eyes water. Financial situation? 3 months behind on rent. Grandmother needs expensive diabetes medication. He dropped out of community college. Financial hardship. Harold and Margaret exchange looks. Everything confirms tonight's witness. Patricia, clear my schedule tomorrow morning. Call legal. We need paperwork prepared. What kind of paperwork? The life-changing kind. After hanging up, Harold walks to the window. City lights twinkle below. It's perfect, Margaret says softly. What's perfect? He's exactly what Community Heroes was meant to find. Someone who gives when they have nothing. Harold nods. Tomorrow morning we will change that young man's life. And Ruby's too. Neither sleeps much. Too excited about the morning. 3 miles away, Jamal tosses on his couch, unaware that powerful forces are aligning. By sunrise, everything will be different. The next morning brought a knock on the door that would change everything. 11 a.m., Wednesday morning. Jamal is home between shifts, helping Ruby with her insulin injection. The needle goes in smoothly. Her blood sugar has been stable lately, a small blessing. Are you feeling okay today, Grandma? Better than yesterday, that sandwich helped. Jamal forces a smile. His own stomach still aches from hunger, but seeing Ruby healthy makes it worth it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 firm raps on apartment 2B. Jamal freezes. Nobody visits them. Ever. He walks to the door, looks through the peephole. His heart stops. Harold and Margaret stand in the hallway. They're dressed nicely. Harold in a clean button-down shirt, Margaret in a simple blue dress. Harold carries a bouquet of flowers. Margaret holds what looks like official documents. Grandma, Jamal whispers. It's them, the couple from the diner. Ruby wheels her chair closer. Who? The people I helped last night. How did they find our address? Jamal's mind races. Did he do something wrong? Are they here to pay him back? He doesn't want their money. Another knock, gentler this time. Jamal opens the door slowly. Harold smiles warmly. Hello, Jamal. We came to properly thank you. Could we come in and talk? Yes, sir, of course. Harold and Margaret entered the small apartment. They take in everything. The worn furniture, the medical equipment, the cleanliness, despite obvious poverty. Margaret approaches Ruby with the flowers. You must be Ruby. Jamal told us about you last night. These are for you, dear. Ruby accepts them graciously. That's mighty kind, but you didn't need to. We wanted to, Harold interrupts. He looks around the apartment with careful eyes. You have a beautiful home. Jamal shifts nervously. Can I get you something to drink? Water? Coffee? We're fine, son, but we do need to talk. Everyone sits down. Harold and Margaret on the old couch, Ruby in her wheelchair, Jamal on a kitchen chair. Harold clears his throat. Jamal, what I'm about to tell you might come as a shock. My name is Harold Pemberton. This is my wife, Margaret. Jamal looks blank. The name means nothing to him. Harold pulls out a business card from his wallet. Heavy cardstock, gold lettering. Harold Pemberton, Chairman and CEO, Pemberton, Automotive Enterprises. Jamal studies the card. Still no recognition. I'm sorry, sir. Should I know about that company? Ruby leans forward. Pemberton, baby, isn't that the company that makes parts for all these fancy cars? Harold nods. We manufacture automotive components for most major car companies in America. We're quite successful. Margaret takes over gently. Jamal, what happened last night wasn't random. Harold and I have been testing something. Testing what? Harold's voice becomes serious. For the past month, we've been living on a very limited budget. Social Security income only. We locked away our credit cards, our bank accounts, everything. Jamal's confusion grows. Why would you do that? We wanted to understand what real hardship felt like. What it's like to choose between food and medicine, between rent and utilities. Margaret adds, we've been to dozens of restaurants, diners, stores. We've encountered hundreds of people in the past month. Some ignored us, Harold continues. Some were polite but distant. A few were genuinely kind. But you, Jamal, Margaret's voice grows emotional. You gave up everything you had. Harold leans forward. The declined credit cards were real. We had frozen our accounts to keep the experiment authentic. The hunger was real. The desperation was real. So you weren't actually broke? We could have called our driver at any time, could have accessed emergency funds. We chose not to. Jamal feels a mix of emotions, confusion, a little anger at being tested, but mostly just bewilderment. Why? Why would you test people like that? Margaret explains. We're launching a massive community investment program. We needed to find someone who truly understands struggle, someone with genuine moral character. Ruby nods slowly, understanding dawning. You were looking for character. Exactly, Harold confirms. We've been in business for 45 years. We've learned that character matters more than credentials. Heart matters more than a resume. Harold pulls out the folder of documents Margaret was carrying. We've been searching for someone to represent the true spirit of community. Someone who would make the right choice even when it cost them everything they had. Last night, Margaret says, when you counted out that money, your hands were shaking. We could see you were starving, but you still chose to help us. Harold's voice grows firm. That's leadership, Jamal. That's the kind of person we want to partner with. Partner, Jamal's voice cracks. We're about to offer you something that will change your life, Margaret says softly. And Ruby's life, too. Ruby reaches over and takes Jamal's hand. Baby, I think these folks are angels. Harold smiles. We're not angels, Ruby. We're just people who believe that kindness should be rewarded, that potential should be unleashed. He opens the folder. Legal documents, contracts, official letterheads. Jamal, we've spent all night learning about you, your work ethic, your character, your dreams of becoming an engineer. How did you... We have our ways, Harold says gently, and everything we learned confirmed what we saw last night. Margaret leans forward. We have grandchildren your age. All night I kept thinking, would they have done what you did? Would anyone? What are you asking me? Jamal whispers. Harold and Margaret exchange a look. We're not asking you anything, son, Harold says. We're about to offer you everything. The room falls silent. Outside, a car honks. Somewhere upstairs, a baby cries. But in apartment 2B, 3 lives are about to change forever. What Harold offered next was beyond anything Jamal could have imagined. Harold spreads the documents across the small coffee table. Official letterheads, university logos, legal contracts with gold seals. Jamal, we'd like to offer you a complete life transformation. Ruby grips her wheelchair armrests. Jamal stares at the papers, unable to process what's happening. Harold picks up the first document. Full scholarship to Case Western Reserve University. Mechanical engineering program, 4 years, including housing, meals, books, laboratory fees, everything. Ruby gasps audibly. Her hand flies to her mouth. That's impossible, Jamal whispers. Margaret pulls out another set of papers. Ruby's medical expenses fully covered. The best diabetes care in Cleveland, private insurance, premium specialists, no co-pays, ever. Ruby starts crying, quiet tears that she tries to wipe away quickly. Harold continues, his voice steady and serious. Your back rent? Paid in full today. All utilities brought current. We're purchasing this building from your landlord. Purchasing the building? Jamal can barely speak. You and Ruby can stay here rent-free for as long as you want. Or we can provide upgraded housing near the university. Your choice. Margaret takes over. Part-time position as community liaison for our new program. $50,000 annually while you're in school. Jamal's legs feel weak. 50,000. That's more than I make in 2 jobs combined. Full-time engineering position guaranteed upon graduation, Harold adds. Starting salary is $85,000, with potential ownership stake in our community investment division. The room spins around Jamal. Numbers that seemed impossible yesterday are suddenly real, written on official documents, signed and notarized. I don't understand, Jamal says. Things like this don't happen to people like me. Harold leans forward, his voice gentle but firm. Jamal, in 45 years of business, I've learned something important. Technical skills can be taught, characters cannot. You have something rare, Margaret adds, genuine compassion paired with personal sacrifice. That's leadership. Ruby finds her voice through her tears. Harold, Margaret, why? Why our Jamal? Harold turns to address Ruby directly. Because yesterday, when your grandson had every reason to take care of himself first, he chose to take care of strangers. That tells us everything we need to know. Margaret pulls out photos from the folder. These are some of the people we've met in the past month. Store clerks, waitresses, customers, all decent people. But when we needed help, they looked away. Not Jamal, Harold says. He stepped forward when stepping forward cost him everything. Jamal shakes his head. But I'm not smart enough for engineering school. I barely finished high school. Harold reaches into his briefcase and pulls out something that makes Jamal's heart stop. His notebook. The one from under his mattress. Pages of car designs, engine modifications, fuel efficiency calculations. How did you get that? We have our ways, Harold says with a kind smile. Son, you're already thinking like an engineer. These designs are brilliant. You just need formal education to implement them. Ruby rolls her wheelchair closer to see the notebook. Baby, you've been drawing cars since you were 12 years old. I always knew you were smart enough. Harold explains the expectations. You'll continue living with Ruby. We believe family connections keep people grounded. You'll maintain part-time work through the liaison position to stay connected to real community experience. You'll share your story publicly, Margaret adds. Inspire others. Be the authentic voice of the community in our corporate decisions. Help us design programs that actually help working families, Harold continues. Not charity, investment in human potential. Jamal's hands tremble as he looks at the contracts. What if I fail? What if I can't handle the coursework? Margaret reaches over and squeezes his hand. Sweetheart, you've been managing 2 jobs, caring for a diabetic grandmother, and staying behind on bills while maintaining perfect work attendance. If you can handle that, you can handle anything. Harold points to specific lines in the contracts. Start classes in January, spring semester. We'll move you and Ruby to provide housing near campus. Ruby gets immediate healthcare enrollment starting today. Today? Ruby's voice is barely a whisper. We have a car waiting downstairs, Margaret says. We'd like to take you to the University Medical Center, get you properly evaluated and treated. Ruby starts sobbing, deep emotional tears she's been holding back for years. Baby, she says to Jamal, your mama and daddy sent angels yesterday, and the angels were wearing old clothes and carrying worn-out purses. Harold stands up and extends his hand to Jamal. So what do you say, son? Ready to change your life? Jamal looks at Ruby, at the contracts, at Harold and Margaret's hopeful faces. His voice breaks as he speaks. Yes, we accept. Thank you. Thank you so much. Harold pulls him into a firm handshake that becomes a hug. Margaret embraces Ruby, both women crying happy tears. Welcome to the Pemberton family, Harold says. We're going to do great things together, Margaret adds. As they sign the papers, Ruby grabs Jamal's hand. Baby, I told you, kindness always finds its way back. I just never imagined it would come back this big. Outside apartment 2B, the hallway looks the same, but inside, 3 lives have just been transformed forever, and this is only the beginning. 6 months later, the transformation was beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Jamal walks across the Case Western Reserve University campus, backpack slung over his shoulder, Dean's List certificate in his folder, 3.9 GPA in mechanical engineering. The kid who used to count quarters for dinner now discusses thermodynamics with professors. His apartment near campus is modern, accessible. Ruby has her own bedroom with a hospital-grade bed. Her blood sugar monitor beeps softly, perfectly controlled numbers for the first time in years. How was class today, baby? Ruby asks as Jamal enters. Fluid dynamics. Professor Martinez says my fuel efficiency project could be revolutionary. Ruby beams with pride. She's gained weight, looks younger. Premium healthcare works miracles. But the real miracle is what happened to their community. At Pemberton Automotive Headquarters, Jamal presents quarterly results to the board. Confident now, articulate, still humble but no longer invisible. Community Heroes Program 6-month report, he begins. 247 families helped, $4.2 million distributed in scholarships and micro-grants. Harold nods approvingly from the head of the table. Margaret takes notes in the front row. 73 small businesses are supported with low-interest loans. 28 students enrolled in technical training programs. 15 single mothers completed nursing programs. The numbers tell stories. Maria Gonzalez, single mother of 3, now works as a registered nurse. David Thompson, Iraq veteran, owns a food truck that employs 4 people. Sarah Kim, a teenager who cared for her disabled mother, studies computer programming at community college. The media noticed quickly. Good Morning America featured Jamal and Harold. Forbes magazine ran a cover story, the 850 that changed everything. The hashtag #PayItForward challenge went viral with 2.3 million participants. But Jamal measures success differently now. At Murphy's Auto Parts, his old workplace, he stops by monthly. Dave, his former supervisor, always grins when he sees the company car pull up. Look who's gotten fancy, Dave jokes. Still the same person, Jamal replies, just with better opportunities. He hands Dave an envelope. Scholarship application for your son, Tommy. Full ride to trade school. Dave's eyes water. Jamal, you don't have to. Someone helped me once. Now I help others. The ripple effects multiplied daily. 12 other corporations launched similar programs after studying the Pemberton model. Harvard Business School invited Harold and Jamal as guest speakers. Community Heroes recipients helped 340 additional families through their own acts of kindness. Ruby became the program's character assessment advisor. Her wisdom helps identify genuine need versus manipulation. Heart don't lie, she tells applicants. I can see it in your eyes. Local crime rates dropped 23% in supported neighborhoods. Property values increased, bringing legitimate investment to struggling areas. The community heals from within. Jamal's engineering projects focus on community solutions. Affordable electric vehicle conversion kits for delivery drivers, solar panel systems for low-income housing, water filtration systems for rural communities. Engineering with empathy, his professors call it. At the White House ceremony for Corporate Social Responsibility Excellence, Harold and Margaret stand with Jamal as President Harris presents the award. This program proves that investing in character creates exponential returns, the president says. Not just financial returns, but human returns. The numbers speak for themselves. Asterisk program operating budget, $50 million annually asterisk. Families lifted out of poverty, 247 asterisk jobs created through supported businesses, 1,420 asterisk students receiving education support, 156 asterisk return on investment in community stability, 340%. But Ruby keeps the real treasure in a scrapbook. Every article, every photo, every thank you letter. She shows visitors with pride. My baby's changing the world one heart at a time. The local news runs anniversary features. 1 year later, how kindness built an empire. They interview Diane from Rosie's Diner, who still works the night shift but now manages a scholarship fund for struggling students. That night changed everything, Diane says. Showed us what real goodness looks like. Margaret frames the original receipt from that Tuesday dinner. $20.50. It hangs in the Pemberton Foundation boardroom with a simple plaque. The investment that started everything. Jamal speaks at 47 high schools, sharing his story. Always the same message. Small kindnesses create big changes. All it takes is someone willing to give when they have nothing left. At Case Western, he mentors 23 other program participants. Students like Sophia Martinez, the home health aide from Rosie's Diner. She's studying nursing now, following the same path Jamal carved. You gave me hope when I had none, Sophia tells him. Someone did the same for me, Jamal replies. That's how it works. The transformation is complete, but the story continues growing. Every day brings new applicants, new opportunities, new proof that character matters more than circumstances, and it all started with $8.50 and a choice to help strangers. 1 year later, the circle was about to complete itself in the most beautiful way. Jamal, now in his second year of engineering school, stops by Rosie's Diner with Harold and Margaret for their monthly anniversary dinner. It's become their tradition. Every month, they return to Booth 7 where everything began. They always order the same thing, soup and sandwich to share, meatloaf special. Well, look who's here! Diane beams from behind the counter. My famous customers! She's been featured in several articles about the night that changed everything. The diner has become a local landmark. Tourists sometimes stop by, hoping to witness kindness in action. The booth has a small plaque now, where character meets opportunity. As they settle into their seats, Jamal notices her immediately. A young Latina woman sits alone at the counter, counting change for coffee. Her home health aide uniform shows the wear of a 12-hour shift, dark circles under her eyes, shoulders slumped with exhaustion. Sophia Rodriguez orders just coffee, $2.50. When Diane brings the check, Sophia counts her money twice. She's 50 cents short. I'm sorry, Sophia says quietly. I thought I had enough. She starts to stand, embarrassed. Jamal catches Harold's eye across the table. They both smile knowingly. Excuse me, Jamal says, approaching the counter. Sophia looks up, surprised. Diane, whatever she wants to order, put it on my tab, and bring her the dinner special. Sophia's eyes widened. I can't let you do that. I don't even know you. Jamal sits on the stool beside her. Someone helped me once when I needed it. Now I get to help you. But why would you? Because we're all just trying to get by. The words echo from that night a year ago. Harold and Margaret exchange emotional glances. As Sophia thanks him, Jamal pulls out his Community Heroes program card. Call this number tomorrow. Tell them Jamal sent you. We help people who help others. Sophia studies the card through tears. I just finished a double shift taking care of an elderly man with Alzheimer's. Haven't eaten since yesterday morning. Margaret approaches with gentle kindness. Dear, what you do matters. People like you deserve support. Ruby joins them for dessert, wheeling up in her new motorized chair. She brings sweet potato pie to share with Sophia. Baby, she tells Jamal, your mama and daddy would be so proud. You took that broken heart and made it a bridge for others. Harold watches the scene unfold. You know, Margaret, I think we didn't just create a program. We created a movement. The diner is filled with warmth. Community heroes, participants eating together, helping each other, building connections. Sophia will call tomorrow. In 6 months, she'll complete nursing school through the program. The cycle will continue. Jamal looks around the room, at Ruby's healthy smile, at Harold and Margaret's joy, at Sophia's hopeful face. Sometimes the smallest act creates the biggest change, he says softly. All it takes is someone willing to give when they have nothing left to give. Outside, the October evening is crisp, but inside Rosie's diner, kindness keeps everyone warm. the circle completes itself. Then it starts again. Jamal's story reminds us that kindness isn't about having enough, it's about caring enough. Every single day, we have opportunities to change someone's life with simple acts of generosity. This week, look for someone who needs help. It doesn't have to be money. Maybe it's time, attention, encouragement, or just recognition. Small kindnesses create big changes. Remember, the person you help today might be the one who changes your life tomorrow. Or they might be the one who changes someone else's life. Kindness multiplies. What act of kindness will you do today? Tell us in the comments below. Share your own story of unexpected generosity. Let's build a community of people who believe in the power of compassion. If this story touched your heart, please share it. Hit that like button to spread the message that good people still exist, and subscribe for more stories that restore your faith in humanity. Together, we can change the world, one generous heart at a time.
The story you heard today wasn't cleaned up. It was told exactly as it happened. At Black Voices Uncut, we believe that's the only way truth can live. If you felt something, hit like, comment, and your reaction, and subscribe. Every week, we bring you voices that refuse to be silenced.